right, the show goes on. All right, so continue. All right, so this is actually another big piece of advice I wish I could have gave myself if I started all over again. So essentially, me, Eric Kim, I made my name being a street photographer, and my life goal was always to become the number one street photographer on the internet. And then I achieved that goal, and it was pretty cool. But in every niche is a trip. So if I could give myself advice again, starting all over again, it would be this: be anti-niche. Don't allow yourself to get pigeonholed into any one thing because sooner or later you're going to outgrow it. So better instead, your most important asset is your name, your first and last name. So me, Eric Kim, and my personal ambition is actually after I die, or maybe while I'm still alive, people won't just call me as Eric Kim. They'll just know me as Eric. And like 300 years from now, when they talk about Eric, like when they talk about Leonardo, they talk about Da Vinci or Michelangelo, we know exactly who you're talking about. So same thing is is remember your number one asset, your first and last name. So for example, Eric Kim, or just being Eric. So what that means is if you're gonna start, a business or your sole proprietorship, don't call it like, shadow images or, decisive moment photography. Just use your first and last name, right? Like, you know, Eric Kim Photography, ericKimPhotography.com/blog. Like keep it kind of simple. Or like better yet, if you register your own domain, just try to get your first and last name. Like actually, facts. Shout out to Cindy. I actually own erickim.com and I had to buy it out for like $1,000. Good investment. So also realize as a photographer, don't kind of stick yourself in the small ghetto of photography. Rather, better to brand yourself and market yourself as a visual artist. Now, what's the difference? Visual, like your eyes, artist, we all know what an artist is. And so you're not just a photographer, you're a visual artist because you like to utilize different tools and technologies to augment your visual arts. Now, to me, this is very important because you should allow yourself all forms of visual arts, right? Whether it be photography, video, digital arts, abstracts and stuff like that. And the more you could let yourself flourish visually, essentially the better. And so I think about this a lot is like, what is the future of photography going to be? So some basic things I see is that currently what we're experiencing is video plus photo seems like it's becoming a thing, which means like I think a hybrid is going to be the future. So even I've been shooting a lot of photos and videos and vlogs and blogs and stuff like that on Lumix G9. And the great thing is it shoots 60 FPS, 4K, which means it's 4,000 pixels wide, which is huge. So that means that, like often what I'll do is I'll shoot a video 4K 60 FPS and I'll pause the video in Mac and I'll screenshot certain images that I like. And to me, this is actually a very effective strategy. And not only that, but while I'm recording, I can shoot still photos. So it kind of makes you wonder, why do people kind of stick themselves in the ghetto of, oh, I'm just a photographer, I'm a videographer. Certainly it's both. So it's like you're not even like just like maybe even a good idea, right? Just call yourself, this is Eric Kim's notion, right? Call yourself a grapher. You're a grapher, right? A grapher just means writer or whatever. So graph, I think it's graphene, maybe. It means to sketch, embed, and write. And, video plus grapher, photo plus grapher, you know, graffiti actually comes from the notion of grapher too. So I kind of like this notion. Maybe we just call ourselves graphers. And okay, so how does one build an audience or build a name for themselves? Simple thought, 90% blogging, 10% YouTube. So currently, you know, whether we like it or not, Google is the internet at this point, which means the best way to get discovered is organic. So what is organic? So organic. That means if someone goes on Google and they search you, they find you for whatever you are. And they often call this SEO or search engine optimization. The basic gist is whenever you want, if you want to get discovered on a topic, write a blog post about the topic, whatever it may be. And YouTube is still effective insofar much as Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine. So whatever people are searching for, sooner or later, they're going to find you. And so another important entrepreneurial philosophy that I got is create the thing which you wish to see in the world. So, it's kind of a riff off the Gandhi quote. Gandhi may or may have not even said it. It might have been somebody else. But the basic gist is, it's one thing to kind of complain about how the world is. It's another thing to do something about it, which means the most effective thing to do in life and stuff like that is to realize you're powerful and you're strong enough to actually change the world. Like a lot of people are nihilists. So, oh, you can't change the world. But I'm like, bro, you can change the world. Come on. It's easy, right? Just internet. This thing called the internet, the blog, YouTube, right? And so create the thing which you wish to see in the world. So arsbeta.com is essentially, my vision that I had with, shout out to Kevin, Cindy, Annette, June, everyone. So essentially we created this platform where, like the top composition, created a platform where what I call it is a double blind platform where the person who uploads a photo is anonymous and the person who gives a comment is anonymous. So it makes for much more effective, honest feedback. So like the focus or whatever. And to me, I love this idea of R's because R stands for art. Beta is, beta testing. So the basic gist is your artwork is always in beta. Arsbeta.com. So the reason I had the idea of R's was actually because I think, Instagram is probably the worst thing that's happened for photographers and humanity. I think it's an extreme net negative for humanity. Instagram is very bad because essentially it quantifies your self-esteem, and what it causes is photography is becoming more generic and mediocre because we all know what gets lots of likes, right? You upload a nice black and white picture, symmetry, minimalist, whatever, you get a bunch of likes. And now the problem is we're fishing for likes and followers and stuff like that, rather actually making something kind of unique because truth be told, there's, I think I forget who says this, but there's a quote. It's like, the rare for the rare. And actually, it might have been Horace. I'm not 100% sure. But essentially, rare things aren't going to be appreciated by the masses. And, a lot of Romans have also talked about like the vulgar masses, right? Like Horace too. And it's funny because Horace is probably one of the best poets of all time. And during his lifetime, there's way more popular poets who was more popular than him. But Horace is the one that's lasted. He has things like, I'm going to make a monument more lasting than bronze. And he was right. So the basic gist of R's, this is actually my initial mock-up of R's. The basic gist is like, imagine Tinder for photographers. You upload a picture, you swipe right to pick, swipe left, you don't like it, and then you swipe up to favorite it, you swipe down to leave a comment. And, shout out to June. He made R's coin. It's kind of like a pseudo crypto for things. And yeah, shout out to Cindy, everyone who's helped. Ben Mills gave some consulting too. And so the basic gist is you commission critiques, get feedback and stuff like that. And ours is so great because, I really think that we haven't really quite scratched the surface yet of what could be the future of photography and feedback. And I think arsbeta.com is the one. So I'm gonna keep working on it. Anyways, so blogging is kind of interesting to me because I kind of think of blogging kind of like meta thinking. Like as I blog, I have an idea. Like for me, sometimes I have a general gist of an idea I have, and then I blog purely for myself. Like some people like to journal or whatever. I like to blog because it's like thinking or journaling in real time. And there's no such thing as a good blog post or a bad blog post, but to me, it's more like an honest blog post or a dishonest one. So for me, an honest blog post is only whenever I have an idea I really care about and I'll pursue it to its depth or profundity to the extent that I like. False blogging to me is when people blog just to get a lot of affirmation likes and stuff like that. And so, I've been in this for like over a decade and I feel like I'm still a beginner. Um, so I kind of like this from Steve Jobs, right? Essentially, just like ask yourself why do you do what you do because no one ever knows what they do, and so you know just kind of like ask yourself like why do I do it? Like there's this notion of like the three whys, right? Like you ask yourself why three times. I think it's from Toyota or something like that. If you keep asking why do I do this, you'll sooner or later find a good answer. And you know that's probably the apex of philosophy and entrepreneurship. Why? Ask yourself why three times or more, and you will achieve a deeper understanding of something. So this is important, right? So keep asking yourself why. So why do I make photos? I make photos because it makes me happy. Why does photography make me happy? Photography makes me happy because I go out and I interact with the world. Why do I like to go out and interact with the world? Because that's what gives me some sort of physiological thriving. Why is physiological thriving important to me? That's to humanity and organic processes based on thriving. So the more you could question yourself and challenge yourself, why, the better. And actually, the why app, Zen of Eric, is kind of something I'm working right now to create like a philosophical thinking tool that you could actually keep asking yourself why. Because you talk to most adult man, I hate talking to adults. I like talking to kids. I like talking to college kids. Not even college kids. College kids kind of bad too. I like talking to freshmen. I like high schoolers. I like talking to people who haven't been indoctrinated by the system yet, right? Because there's kind of like original thinking. Original thinking doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the most like interesting idea, but to me, original thinking means you're not just swallowing and regurgitating what others have taught you, but you actually use your real life experiences, your empirical experiences to share your opinion. And also just realize your opinion is always in a state of flux. So ultimately, as an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker, you're a philosopher, always ask yourself why, and create what you want to see manifested in the real world. Peace out.